Ever wondered why a stock price is constantly changing? You might think it's determined by Wall Street, big corporations, or maybe even governments, but that's not how it works. We'll look at the full journey of pricing a stock from its initial public offering to how the price is created, along with a beginner-friendly example and the major factors that determine prices. In the final part, we'll examine how investors interpret stock prices and consider legendary investor Warren Buffett's view. Put simply, a stock price is the price at which you can buy a share of a company. You can think of the stock market like an auction where buyers and sellers agree on a price based on its supply and demand. It reflects market expectations, information, and investor emotion. The price is determined by an ongoing battle between buyers causing demand and sellers causing supply. Price rises when more people want to buy the stock than sell it. When buyers are willing to pay more, the price rises. Price falls when more people want to sell the stock than buy it, which forces sellers to lower their prices to find a buyer, driving the price down. Legendary investor Warren Buffett was taught by Ben Graham, who once said, "The stock market is a voting machine in the short run and a weighing machine in the long run," meaning in the short term, prices are heavily influenced by opinion, market sentiment, and news. However, over longer periods, a company's actual business performance becomes much more important, and the stock price often reflects that. Therefore, stock prices are often more irrational during periods of heavy news or strong market sentiment. But over the long term, the price becomes more rational and reflects the company's true underlying value. A company's public stock price begins with an initial public offering. During this process, the company and its investment bankers decide on an initial share price based on valuation and investor demand. Once the initial public offering is complete, the stock starts trading on a public exchange, such as the New York Stock Exchange or Nasdaq. From that point onward, the price is no longer set by the company. Instead, the market determines it through the interaction of buyers and sellers throughout the trading day. So, how exactly are stock prices created? Well, they are formed through a market mechanism known as the order book. This records the buy and sell orders placed by investors. A few key terms matter here. Firstly, the bid price is the highest price a buyer is willing to pay. Secondly, the ask price is the lowest price a seller is willing to accept. When the bid and ask prices are met, a trade occurs, which creates a new price. Spread. The difference between the bid price and ask price. It's a fee that stock brokerage platforms charge traders to execute a trade. For example, if the bid is $10 and the ask price is $11, then the spread is $1. You'll see zero fee or commission-free trading brokers, but they may create wider spreads to make up for not charging you a fee, so be aware of that. Last price. The price at which the most recent trade occurred. Think of it like an auction for a car, where John bids $1,000, and the seller, Susie, accepts it. Let's say the auction fees are $100. That would mean the bid price is $1,000 from John, and the ask price is $1,100, which is simply the bid price of $1,000 plus the auction fees of $100. However, with stocks instead of auction fees, it's called the spread. In this example, the spread is $100, which is the difference between John's bid and the final price offered to Susie. Whenever a buyer agrees to pay a seller's asking price, or a seller agrees to accept a buyer's bid, a trade happens. That transaction sets the latest market price. Because this process happens continuously, stock prices are constantly being updated. For heavily traded stocks, this can happen many times per second. At the most basic level, stock prices are determined by supply and demand. Every price change results from this ongoing balance between buyers and sellers. Supply refers to the number of shares available for sale, while demand refers to the number of shares investors want to buy. Companies can also affect supply directly by issuing new shares, which increases supply and dilutes existing ownership. Also, companies will often use share buybacks, which can reduce supply and help increase the stock price if demand stays constant. This is why buybacks matter so much to investors. Fewer shares outstanding can increase earnings per share and make remaining shares more valuable. Next, we'll look at the major factors that determine a stock price and why it changes. While supply and demand determine price directly, many factors influence investor behavior. Probably the most important factor in determining the stock price is the company's financial performance. It's what most value investors like Warren Buffett look at when thinking about whether the stock price is too high or low. Basically, investors pay particular attention to revenue growth, profit margins, earnings reports, cash flow, and forecasts for future financial reports. If a company reports strong earnings, then demand for its shares will likely rise. However, if the financial performance weakens, for example, with lower revenue growth or profit margins, then investors will probably sell more shares and the price will decrease. That said, the market often reacts not just to results, but also to how those results compare with expectations. Stock markets are forward-looking, and stock prices respond to actual results rather than expectations. For example, a company releases a strong earnings report, but investors expected even better numbers, then the stock price will likely fall. Or if a company has weak results, but those results are better than expected, the stock price will rise. Prices are constantly adjusting based on what investors believe will happen next, and not just what has already happened. The second major factor is corporate announcements and breaking news, which can move prices very quickly. Examples include leadership changes, product launches, acquisitions, regulatory actions, and lawsuits or scandals. News changes people's expectations, and expectations alter buying and selling decisions. So many investors pay close attention to the news every day and make decisions based on it. That's why we have so many large news corporations covering financial news, such as Bloomberg and the Financial Times. The third key factor is broader economic trends, which also play a major role. Investors often watch gross domestic product, inflation data, such as the Consumer Price Index, employment reports, and consumer spending trends. When economic growth is strong, companies are generally expected to perform better. However, when conditions weaken or if there is a recession, then investors often become more cautious and stock prices will likely fall. That being said, some stocks perform better than others during a recession, such as consumer staples, utilities, healthcare, and mining companies. For example, for the 3 years after the 2008 recession, Walmart posted strong growth in profits and revenue as consumers tried to save money by shopping at discount retailers. Next, we have interest rates, which matter significantly because they affect both companies and investors. You often notice that the main news headlines in the finance section are related to interest rates. Basically, when rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive for businesses, which means future profit forecasts are discounted more heavily. As interest rates rise, bonds become more attractive than stocks. Inflation matters as well because it can squeeze margins, reduce consumer spending, and increase uncertainty. Both interest rates and inflation are among the most powerful external factors affecting stock prices. Government policy and global developments can shift stock prices quickly. Examples include tax law changes, trade policies, geopolitical tensions, elections, and wars or sanctions. These events can affect specific industries or entire markets depending on how they influence growth, risk, and investor confidence. It's also important to consider broader industry trends within the sector for a company. For example, technology stocks may rise during periods of high innovation or breakthroughs such as artificial intelligence, which has generated significant hype. Also, energy stocks react to oil prices, especially during wars in the Middle East, and be aware of cyclical industries that will rise and fall sharply during economic booms or slowdowns. Investors price stocks based not only on the company itself, but also on the prospects of the entire industry. Market psychology is a major short-term force. In a bullish environment, optimism is high, encouraging buying. However, when momentum shifts to bearish, investors become fearful and selling accelerates. This is where Ben Graham's short-term view of his stock's price as a voting machine makes more sense. The reason is that, in the short term, prices often reflect emotional views driven by fear, greed, and the underlying narrative of emotions more than deep fundamental business analysis. We know that price and value are not the same thing, but you might be wondering how closely they align. Price is the number at which the latest trade happened, while value is what investors believe the business is truly worth based on its assets, earnings, and future cash flows. Because opinions and emotions change constantly, prices often move above or below perceived value. That gap creates an opportunity for investors, especially value investors like Warren Buffett, who believe the market has mispriced a company. Buffett describes a company's value as the discounted value of its future cash flows. In simple terms, investors try to estimate the profits a company will generate in the future and what those profits are worth today. This brings us back to Benjamin Graham's famous idea. In the short term, stock prices reflect votes. Investors constantly express their opinions by buying and selling shares. As we've been through earlier, we know that prices move mainly because of sentiment, news, momentum, fear, and greed, and expectations. This is why stocks can become overpriced or underpriced for extended periods. However, in the long term, the market eventually begins to weigh real business fundamentals more closely against the stock price. A company that grows earnings, generates cash, and reinvests profitably will usually see its stock price rise over the long term. Meanwhile, a weaker business may enjoy short bursts of enthusiasm, but eventually the underlying financial situation will matter. This is why long-term investing is much more connected to business performance than short-term trading. Another key concept is market capitalization, or market cap. This is calculated by multiplying the share price by the number of shares outstanding. Market cap represents the total market value of a company's equity. It matters because a stock's price alone can be misleading, because a company with a high share price is not bigger than one with a lower share price if it has more shares outstanding. That's a major reason why investors look at the market cap when comparing companies. Now that we've been through the major factors that affect stock prices, let's look at how investors try to interpret them. Investors generally try to understand stock prices in two main ways. This focuses on business performance, including earnings, growth, margins, and competitive position. It is used to estimate value. A common way investors judge whether a stock is expensive or cheap when using fundamental analysis is by using the price-to-earnings ratio. It is calculated as the share price divided by earnings per share. For example, if a stock trades at $100 and earns $5 per share, its price-to-earnings ratio is 20. This becomes even more useful when compared with the company's historical price-to-earnings ratio, industry peers, and the broader market. A lower price-to-earnings ratio may suggest undervaluation, though context always matters. Sometimes a low price-to-earnings ratio reflects weak growth or high risk rather than a bargain. The second major way is technical analysis, which focuses on charts, price trends, trading volume, and other technical indicators. It's used mainly to anticipate short-term price moves. Both approaches try to answer different questions. Fundamental analysis aims to help people understand what a business is worth. However, technical analysis helps more with understanding how the market is currently behaving. Imagine a stock has a bid price of $9.98 and an ask price of $10. If a buyer agrees to pay $10, the trade occurs and the stock price moves to $10. But then, if selling pressure builds and the next available buyer is only willing to pay €9.95, the price will drop to that level. This continuous process of matching orders drives price movements, as reflected in a stock price chart. It's also worth noting that modern markets use high-frequency trading systems that execute orders in milliseconds. As a result, these high-tech systems and trading algorithms add liquidity, but they can also amplify short-term volatility by reacting instantly to price changes, news, or order flow. Liquidity means how easily and quickly shares can be bought or sold without significantly affecting their price. Highly liquid stocks tend to move more smoothly because there are many buyers and sellers. Meanwhile, less liquid stocks can experience sharp swings even from relatively small trades. Warren Buffett uses Ben Graham's Mr. Market metaphor to describe the stock market as a moody, irrational partner who offers to buy or sell stocks at prices based more on emotion rather than value. He talks about using Mr. Market as a provider to buy low and sell high rather than a guide to follow. Firstly, Buffett says you should ignore his mood. Mr. Market suffers from incurable emotional problems, swinging between euphoria, causing high stock prices, and depression with low prices. Next, look at price versus value. Buffett likes to say price is what you pay, but value is what you get. A low price doesn't mean a company is bad, nor does a high price mean a company is good. Focus more on the long term. As Ben Graham liked to say, in the short run, the market is a voting machine, meaning it's more like a popularity contest and driven by irrational factors. But in the long run, it is a weighing machine, which means it'll become more likely to show its underlying fundamental value. And lastly, exploit emotional swings. Buffett's strategy is to be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Basically, this means when the market is crashing and stock prices are low, then you should look for value opportunities. However, when stock prices are high, you must filter through more stocks to find a good opportunity. We now know that stock prices are not random and instead result from countless decisions made by investors reacting to information, expectations, risk, and emotion. In the short term, prices are shaped by supply and demand, sentiment, news headlines, and market psychology. However, in the long term, they are shaped much more by the underlying business fundamentals and financial reports. Understanding that difference is essential to giving you a better idea of why stocks are priced the way they are. Instead of looking at the stock price just as a number, think of it like the market's latest opinion, but be aware that opinions can change quickly. If you need help understanding anything from the video, leave a comment and I'll be sure to reply. Now that you understand how stock prices work, you'll find this video explaining what earnings per share is very useful because it's one of the most important metrics you must know about, so watch it next. Also, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing if you found value from the video. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.